Good evening. Thanks for joining us at Awaz News. I'm Kubrali and I'll be taking you through big news across Canada.
Man rushed to hospital after shooting in downtown Toronto. Foreign interference protocol worked well in 2021 election, report says. Toronto home occupancy declarations due by end of day Tuesday. Patrick Brown hosts $1,700 per ticket fundraiser for leadership depth without party. Some unionized TVO employees vote in favor of a strike mandate. TTC bringing back tickets for fair invasion in late March. City of Brampton takes action to address youth mental health crisis in Peel. Advocates local MPPs renew concerns about the privatization of Ontario Police.
Those were the headlines, and now let's jump through the details.
Unionized workers at Ontario's public broadcaster have voted in favor of a strike if ongoing labour talk stall, moving one step closer to a legal strike position. The collective agreement between TVO and 70 of its journalists, producers, and education workers expired in October 2022. The Canadian Media Guild says members have received below-inflation wage increases for the past 10 years, including 3 years of complete wage freezes. They are also concerned about what they say is an apparent move to hire new employees on contract. In addition to airing current affairs, shows such as The Agenda with Steve Paikin, TVO's mandate is to provide learning resources that follow the provincial school curriculum. The union says a letter earlier this year from Ontario's Ministry of Education outlined priorities for TVO but was scanned on references to journalism. The union also alleges the network's business plan made no mention of journalism. However, a spokesperson for the ministry says the priorities in the letter have not changed from previous years. Meanwhile, TVO is calling it highly misleading and just plain wrong to suggest it has reduced its commitment to journalism. The next bargaining meeting is scheduled for March 9th. Some of the broadcasters' employees are under uniform and are not impacted by ongoing negotiations. The Canadian Media Guild also represents some employees at the Canadian Press. The City of Brampton is taking action to address the youth mental health crisis in Peel. Even before the COVID-19 pandemic, the region was facing a crisis point with long wait times of counseling and therapy for those under 18 years old. The city has approved a community safety and well-being action plan that includes increased mental health support and programming, especially for children and youth. They are also calling for increased mental health funding and support for youth in Brampton. The plan includes collaboration with the Peel District School Board and advocacy to improve immediate mental health support needs for youth in Brampton. The city is committed to enhancing community resilience and is taking action to improve the lives of young people in region. Parents and councillors are supportive of the city's efforts and are calling for action to ensure that young people have a mentally healthy environment to live, work, and play in. The City of Brampton recognizes the urgent need to address the youth mental health crisis in Peel and is taking steps to address the issue.
While we proclaim today is Pink Shirt Day, talking about anti-bullying and the mental health impacts for young people with respect to bullying, today is also Human Trafficking Awareness Day. And as we see an escalation of mental health issues, whether that's eating disorders or self-harm and cutting, or attempts for suicide and depression and anxiety increasing, particularly amongst young women under the age of 14, they become more vulnerable to human trafficking. And we were going to take action back then, pre-pandemic, and then in March 2020, COVID hit. And unfortunately, the situation got even worse because we were already at a very difficult starting point when it came to chronic underfunding and services for our youth, let alone in a world, in a pandemic where they were now isolated at home, away from their friends, and having more and more screen time. Because they had no other choice but to stay home.
The public system because they didn't have support, and I moved her into the Catholic system because they did. As of yesterday, I took my other daughter out of the public system, and I'll be moving her into the Catholic system because they have support. And I've been very public that I don't even know if the school boards should exist. And I think you've heard me say that before. And these are some of those reasons. When I hear Brampton Minor Lacrosse has a program that they want to bring to the public system free, with an Indigenous component. They've gone to the school board. The school board says that they have to go to each individual schools, and then they go to the schools and say that you have to go to and get the okay from the school board. There's confusion.
3 years after the TTC hit the brakes on fines for fare invasion, the network is looking to get enforcement back on track to address what officials say has become a huge problem on some routes. There's a sense of disorder that's going on in the TTC, a sense of anything goes. Councillor and TTC board chair John Burnside, News Talk 1010's more in the morning on Tuesday. In a report that sets to go before the board on the Tuesday, the TTC said it plans to reintroduce the practice, which was paused in 2020 due to the COVID-19 pandemic, by late March as part of its overall fare recovery strategy, as believes 13% of customers are not paying. While the ticket itself will cost you $235 if you are caught on the transit without proof of payment, Burnside said he believes it's not just the steep fine that will deter fare invasion. The TTC employs 110 fare inspectors across the network who are primarily focused on streetcar routes, of which the Queen and King Street lines are a specific problem, Burnside said. Since December 2022, roughly half of those inspectors have been placed on special assignment to support safety efforts on the network amid a rash of violence in the last several months. The $5 million, which the TTC hopes to recoup through the effort, will help towards not increasing fares and keeping service intact, Burnside said. Last week, the city approved the TTC's $2.38 billion operating budget that includes a 10% fare increase for most riders and service cuts to address a $366 million budget shortfall. The TTC said from June 2019 to February 2020, fare inspectors issued an average of 1,800 tickets per month. However, the agency said that due to the culture change its revenue protection department is going through, it expects that the number of tickets issued will decrease significantly. In Tuesday's report, the TTC said continuing to implement the comprehensive anti-racism strategy that followed that review. Additionally, the TTC said it plans to roll out a pilot of body-worn cameras on 40 of its officers in an effort to achieve more public transparency. No specific date has been provided as for when fare inspection enforcement is expected to return to the TTC. The provincial government's plan to open a private spa at Ontario Place continues to raise the ire of those who want the 155-acre waterfront site to remain open to the public and accessible for everyone. Last month, Ontario Place for All, a grassroots community group that aims to ensure the 52-year-old attraction remains vibrant and publicly accessible, drafted an open letter urging the Toronto International Film Festival to reconsider its partnership with the Therm Group, the Austrian firm selected by the province to construct a spa and water park on Ontario Place's West Island. The 3-page letter calls on TIFF to stand by its inclusive mission statement and act accordingly. In a statement, TIFF said it appreciates the vigorous debate taking place around the future of Ontario Place, but did not indicate any intention at this time to change course. In a short statement emailed to CP24.com, Mark Lawson, Therm Canada's Vice President of Communications and External Relations, said the company supports and showcases local art and culture around the world. NDP MPPs Chris Glover and Christine Wong Tam held a news conference last Friday morning with advocates at Queen's Park as part of their ongoing effort to raise concerns about the Ford government's plans for Therm Spa development at Ontario Place. Wong Tam also wants answers from the province about how Ontarians will benefit from the deal, the terms and conditions of its long-term leases, what it could mean if this project is cancelled, and if it's money well spent, among other things. Glover spoke about his deep concerns with the process to redevelop Ontario, echoing his Toronto Central colleague's assertion that it lacks transparency. Bill Greaves of the Architectural Conservancy of Ontario said Ontario Place, which he noted has, among other things, been widely recognized as an internationally significant example of 20th century architecture and landscape design, is a cherished public space that should be treated with care and respect it deserves. CP24.com reached out to the provincial government for comment, but we have not heard back. It should be noted that the province has not confirmed the cost of the project. We also contacted local councillor Asma Malik, but she was not available to provide comment. Brampton Mayor Patrick Brown is working to pay off debt from his federal Conservative leadership bid, but without the help of the party or the ability to issue tax receipts to donors. The Conservative Party of Canada ousted Brown from the leadership campaign last year over allegations he had violated the rules of the race and possibly the Canada Elections Act. Brown, who had denied allegations of wrongdoing, went on to win re-election as Mayor of Brampton, Ontario after his disqualification. He has an unspecified amount of expenses to pay off from his leadership campaign and hosted a fundraising charging $1,700 for a ticket in the Greater Toronto Area last week. The Conservative Party confirmed it is not accepting contributions to Brown's campaign as its own rules prevent it from doing so for candidates that did not meet its leadership contest criteria. Brown's campaign manager says his team has set up its own account in the name of its official agent to collect donations, which are ineligible for the federal tax credit for political contributions. A newly released independent report on the protocol designed to inform Canadians in the event of threats to the 2021 federal election concludes to worked well overall, but the public should be told more about what it would consider cause for concern. Former civil servant Maurice Rosenberg, who was tasked with writing the report assessing the critical election incident public protocol, also made several recommendations for its future in a report released Tuesday. The protocol was created in 2019 to monitor threats to federal elections. If a threat meets its threshold, the panel created by the protocol can make an announcement to Canadians. Rosenberg says the panel of 5 senior public servants did not find there was foreign interference in either the 2019 or 2021 elections that compared to the scale of Russian interference in the 2016 US election. But the panel did find there were attempts at foreign interference that did not meet the threshold for making announcement, which would happen only if members found there was a threat to Canada's ability to have a free and fair election. Rosenberg says an announcement of that kind was seen as a measure of a last resort. He recommends clear communication with Canadians about what the panel does. He also recommends further study about what is considered before the threshold is met. The panel also found there were domestic threats in the 2021 campaign that included threats of violence and disinformation about the COVID-19 pandemic. Rosenberg says there should be an assessment of whether security details for party leaders and other levels of policing are able to handle the level of persistence of the threats politicians face before the next election takes place. The report also calls for national security agencies to develop a program of unclassified briefings to boost the awareness that members of parliament and senators have about foreign interference. Some of them have called for this in recent months. Security agencies should brief lawmakers on election interference and measures they can take to safeguard themselves and their online information, Rosenberg says. The report comes more than 17 months after the September 2021 election. Media reports in recent weeks have alleged foreign interference by China in both the 2019 and 2021 elections, leading to increased scrutiny of the critical election incident public protocol and calls for greater transparency over such threats.
This was all from us today. I'm Kubra Ali, and I'll see you back tomorrow, same time, same channel. Have a good night.